Hello everyone, welcome back to the KMTRADERS channel. So this is the full market analysis volume 63. Again, we will be looking into our charts, giving you a rundown of what we think is going to happen for this week, and also take a look at what we previously looked at from last week to also give us some guidance as well, how we can improve as a trader. So looking at NZDUSD as our first one, because we are looking at gold and Euro USD tomorrow. So what we looked at last week, we were looking for more of a push down. Essentially, we were anticipating price to make a move towards the downside ultimately, but as we can see, price had broken to the upside. So I do believe again this bias towards the downside is still in works. Again, we are just looking out for that sell-off opportunity. So as we can see, price started to essentially recover some more ground towards the upside. So I still think that's not a problem. I do think that maybe this week we could potentially anticipate price to break towards the upside, so potentially push higher, and then we could be looking out for a potential move towards the downside. I think that would be, the scenario that could potentially happen. Now, whether the price obviously does that, then you guys have to stay vigilant on this one, because we could be anticipating a move towards the upside, and then we could be looking out for some rejections into the market. So if we start to see price fail to push any higher, this could absolutely collapse towards the downside into 0.69, which we were originally anticipating from last week. But as we can see, obviously price is stepping up still. So I do think that momentum is still moving sideways. So as you can see, price is starting to push higher and higher. But this one, it started to go steeper and steeper, but now it's moving much more of a sideways tangent. So if we extend our trend line now, we could look at something on this one as a key important place to potentially look for confirmation and validation. And as usual, we do have this zone at the top, so 0.745. If price does go above this, we could be looking at a bullish scenario setup. So unless price pushes above here, price just needs to stay below this zone, and we could be looking at some more sell-off opportunities. So quite confident with that for now. So yeah, let's take a look into AUDUSD. So with this one, I'm quite confident that we're seeing price push towards the downside. It's quite we can see that price is stepping lower. I do have two scenarios here that I do want to pay attention to. So we could be looking at price retracing midway and then having that sell-off. So that's something that we could be looking out for. But the other thing is that we could be looking at price to push even higher than the anticipated high on the 10th of May. And if we do get something like that, we could be looking at something like this again. So a similar situation. It doesn't necessarily matter if price drops, if we get a slight retracement and then drops off, or if price goes up even higher and then starts to drop off. Either way, we'll be looking for these moves towards the downside, and the higher it goes, it just means that there's more potential profits on the table. So we had about 250 to here, and then if we are able to get a break above here, the second scenario, we have around 400 pips. So like I said, they don't have to worry about taking too many losses here. And again, it's just about staying patient with the process and not jumping the gun. So yeah, just make sure to be prepared for a retracement that's midway within this range. And then for a second retracement, a second scenario is that if price does retrace all of this downside move, price can make its way to the upside, and then we're going to be looking into more detail with this zone here at 0.8. Within this small area, we could be waiting for some sort of rejection candle, and that could be your significance to take a trade, and hopefully this would still push lower. So that's something that I'm looking into personally for next week. So take a look at UJ. So this one, we were waiting for price to push up higher. It's just unfortunate we missed out on this. Pretty much, if you did catch this, then very good. We can see price catapulted towards the upside with some strength, Now this one's going to be quite interesting because now that we extend our uptrend, I actually was speaking about last week about a potential sell-off point towards the downside. I do think that it does have a potential, but, and this is the key thing, it can't go above this level here, so 111. If we do go above this range here, we will be looking into we'll be looking into price turning over around here. And what we could be looking at is, if price does essentially go above here, we could be looking at continuation moves towards the upside. But for now, what I want to look at for this week for UJ is a potential turnover. So I'm not entirely too sure if we may have missed this move just yet, or if we will get a push towards the upside. So, two things you can look at. So for now, I'll just keep it on the charts like we could get a push higher, but I wouldn't be surprised if we were to start to sell off right now, or make another push up higher and then sell off. But yeah, there's something that I'm keeping an eye out, but we'll have to see exactly how price performs over the next few days or so, and if there's more strength, even if there's more strength in this move up, we just need to stay vigilant on this one. So we'll keep an eye on this UJ move towards the downside. Let's take a look at now CADJPY. So for this one, I was actually looking at a sell-off opportunity. There was pretty much some here. I feel like there was I'm not too sure, just about 100 pips here, very small. Not exactly the strongest move towards the downside, but what we can see is price started to push higher. So with this, what we could be looking at is still that sell-off opportunity. I will be waiting for some sort of evidence for price to be pushing lower and lower. So let's just go ahead and extend this trend line now, simply like this. So yeah, you could be looking out for a break of this downtrend, and that could be your significant entry point. Again, it's all totally up to your trading plan. But yeah, ideally what I am looking at for the long term is for price to push all the way down and snap into 85 flat. This would be due to an overextension here. I hope you can see this, that price is just extremely overextended, and we can see that the divergence is still here, playing on different levels now. And I feel like it's only just a matter of time before this should drop down. So we'll see over time if that analysis does play out. But yeah, this one could be some healthy reward. So take a look at EJ. EJ is having a similar situation in my eyes. I'm still personally waiting for a sell-off opportunity still, but as we can see, price is still pushing up higher and higher. And that's the beauty of patience. You don't have to get in on any entry, and you don't have to think twice about it until price action tells you to do so. So as we can see, we have our uptrend lining up very nicely here. We do have this range with this upside resistance too, so we have all this area to play with. But yeah, ideally we are waiting for that sell-off opportunity, and when that comes, then we can start to look at some sell-off, getting in on those entries to take towards the downside, and we could be looking into 28 flat, so all the way down here, which is a very, very long way. So we, like I said, this is all building up, and hopefully you guys can see the similar story that I'm trying to paint here. So looking at NZDJPY, so let me take a look at this. So what we were looking at for is a price to push lower, and essentially we spoke about in the second scenario that we could be looking at for price to, if price does break above the high, we get we can start to look at for some sell-off opportunity. So I believe that we could be looking at this right now. So this scenario here is panning out. If we just get rid of this, extend our trend line now and expand it to here, and we can see that there is some sort of sell-off potential coming into here. Now whether this one is the main move, or if we start to get price to push up higher and then fall off, that's a totally acceptable scenario to happen. So essentially, I'm not going to say that price is definitely now going to sell off. For me, it's just going to be, we're either going to have a sell-off now, or we'll have a price to push up higher once more, and then we'll have that sell-off. So I'm just going to label it as price pushing up higher and then selling off, just to be safe. There's no diversions just yet, so that's why I'm quite curious to see if price can make more of an extension towards the upside, and then we could be looking at some price moves into 75 flat. So again, that's a huge drop too. So yeah, moving on to AJ. AJ, I think, is capable of doing a similar story. There's two scenarios here, like I said before from last week, is that we'll get a retracement midway through this range and we'll get the break off, or we'll get a second scenario where we get the break up higher and then that sell-off opportunity. So I do think that we can still stand off with this analysis from last week. Again, we just need to be vigilant on this one and just stay patient for this, and simply just wait on price, see what it can do. So what we see here is price pushing down, making some sort of retracement towards the upside. Now whether this fully retraces and goes higher, then we need to wait further. But if we are capable of looking at any sell-off opportunities in this pushing higher within this range here, again, this can be looking into 82 flat, so all the way down here again. So again, there's some healthy profits and healthy outlook for these pairs that I hope that you can see. So moving on to the last two pairs now, we are looking at USDCHF. So what we are looking at now, if we extend this downtrend, we can see that we're slowly starting to look at some sort of push towards the upside now. Now whether this is the actual leg that will push up higher, we'll have to wait and see. Again, there can be any manipulations here. This can still go lower. I don't want you guys to fully think that this is now going to rocket up. Like I always say, there's always you have to always anticipate the upside scenario and the downside scenario too. So we'll either one get a retracement within this range and then push higher, or two, we'll get a break lower, and then we can wait for some sort of manipulations to the low, and then wait for price to shift. So if we do that, we can still have to wait for that momentum to kick in, and then we can look at potentially target 92 to 93 flat. So we'll see what happens with this one. USDCAD 2. What I'm looking at here again from last week was potential sell-off opportunity. We haven't actually had that. It's pretty much moved sideways, so I still think that we're capable of moving sideways, moving lower. So I do think price has the capability to do so. Not entirely too sure how deep we'll go though. So this is what I mean. You have to stay vigilant and understand price action and what it's telling you. And then you can start to ride the new wave towards the upside. So I still think we have some time for that pair to pretty much do its thing. So yeah, we'll see exactly what happens over the next few days or so. But yeah, so we do have our crypto analysis coming out next in the next video for today, and we have our EURJPY and gold coming out tomorrow. So I do appreciate your time for listening, guys. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. We do have a trading group that you can join also. That link is in the description. So thank you very much for listening, guys. I do appreciate your time, and see you all in our next video.